So, Dispatch has kinda taken the world by storm as it has sold over 2 million copies within only 1 month and got major praise from the gaming community as it is one of the first decision-based games in a while that's kept everyone's attention this high. And in addition to all that, it's gotten nominated for Debut Indie Game of the Year in the Game Awards, so AdHoc Studio must be feeling themselves right now. But you already knew that. Everyone knows how great this game is doing, everyone knows how great this game is. So, what you need to know, and what we should talk about, is what we need from Dispatch Season 2.
Hello everybody, my name is Manny Nays, and I'm actually going through a bit of a midlife content creator crisis because I've been doing this for almost 5 years, and I just kind of feel like I need to start putting some stats on the stat sheets, you know? And so, it's free to you to subscribe, but it would mean a lot to me. And if you like the video even a bit, then like the video. Now, let's discuss what we need from Dispatch Season 2.
Now that we can actually look back on it, I think I can say confidently that Dispatch had a pretty simple story, but that worked into the game's favor as it was more about the choices, and it also just allowed people to sink their teeth into it without having to use too much brain power. And so I feel like for Dispatch 2, they should just simply build off the already simple story they had in Dispatch and just kind of focus on a subplot of that original story. What subplot, you may be thinking? Well, the Astral Pulse! No, this is not lazy writing, because this whole story of Dispatch focused on what the Astral Pulse could be used for, not how it was actually created. Now, I know what some of you guys are going to say, but what about the comic with Shroud where he created? Well, what if we stretch that a bit, right? Because, sure, Shroud could probably have created the containment for the energy source of the Astral Pulse, but what about the energy? All that power that is displayed in the game, where did that come from? Well, my prediction is that it came from space! Okay, so Astral is the second Mecha Man, but they never actually explain why his name is Astral, and so that's why I have a sneaking suspicion it has something to do with space. And so let's go to the Astral Pulse, right? So let's say Shroud only created the compartment but not the energy. Well, where does this energy come from? Maybe an alien nation, right? An alien planet on one of the many missions of the Brave Brigade, and the Astral Pulse was simply supposed to be borrowed by the Brave Brigade for some world-ending crisis, you know, some classic superhero stuff. But after that crisis is finished, Astral doesn't want to give back the pulse, and so Shroud is now coming down on his neck as he needs the pulse back, not only for his own respect, but also from this on-looming threat from these aliens. But as we all know, Astral puts BTA to Shroud, and that issue is ultimately brushed under the rug as a much more dire crisis occurs, which is just Shroud straight up murdering Astral. And so fast forward to the modern day where Mecha Man is now Robert, no longer Astral, and the aliens return and want back their Astral Pulse, and don't recognize that Robert and Astral are two different individuals, and simply find Robert punishable by death. Yeah. And I feel like the choices you can make from this type of story would mainly focus on the aliens and how you deal with them, whether you want to be sympathetic, defensive, aggressive, and ultimately it just depends on the player themselves. The cast of Dispatch is honestly the most praised part about the game, as the fans have fallen in love with the characters, so it's going to be really hard to try and improve upon that, but we are going to try. So, new SDN dispatcher, just because if we had Robert be a dispatcher again and he still sucked at his job, then it'd be a little bit unrealistic. Also, we don't have to really make him the main focus of the story, you know, just to diversify the attention a bit, you know, freshen it up, as we already know Robert's story. And I feel like it needs to be a balance of keeping it fresh and keeping it nostalgic. That's why we have some returning characters like the SDN office workers and Galen, Royd, Blazer, Chase. And look, I don't think the Z-Timmers should be in this one, but as an appeasement, we put him in episode 1 as the demo team like Phenomenon was in the original Dispatch. Yeah, and bring back Toxic in like episode 1 or 2 as like a mini boss fight for you to have. Cool? Alright, now welcome to your motley team of screw-ups of Dispatch Season 2, commissioned by moi. First up, we have Cosmodius, an astronaut that went rogue after their team failed to properly equip their escape pod and thus almost leaving them to die out in space. And yes, they are important to the story. Smokerlicious, an enthusiast of bongs, weeds, and hot boxes under the sun in any shape or form, able to produce various gases from their 7 holes. Take that how you will. Burnout, the best getaway driver in Torrance. And honestly, just an overall pretty chill character that many people will love. Lidrum, serial killer, put on more depressants. Not antidepressants, more depressants. So they're depressed, but pretty chill and helpful when they are depressed. But just don't get them too excited or else they'll start murdering people during missions and that'll be pretty bad. Graveyarn, spooky, talks to spirits, friends with Malevola. Hey, for you supernatural baddie lovers, I got you. Potjack, crippling gambler, and yeah, I haven't thought many of these through. A lot of these are me just throwing eggs at the wall, but hey, it's really gonna be hard to create such a good cast as Dispatch 1, so let's hope AdHoc can get it done. Gameplay wise, Dispatch is almost perfect, so this is going to be really hard to talk about. That's why I'm only going to be suggesting some boosts to the already great foundation they've laid out. Mainly like some new stats, obviously. Maybe split up Vigor into Strength and Willpower and add another one. That way you have a septagram instead of a pentagram. You would know what that means if you pass geometry. More boss fights, because the Coop/Sonar one was pretty cool. Interference/disruption. You know, when your ball is bouncing around in the success square circle thingamabobber, and it's at like the 80%, and then it goes inside and it looks like you made it, and then bam, a bullet comes out of nowhere and knocks your ball out of the success square. Maybe that's more of like a visual and graphic feature, but still, if there's some gameplay mechanic that allows that to happen, I feel like that'll tense up the player a bit more and just overall increase the engagement, you know? And finally, stay with me now, Pokemon. If you know, you know. You have 8 Z-teamers, 9, 10, 11, depending on the circumstance. You throw them out to fit the situation, but instead, it's like against one other group of people, and it's like a Pokemon battle. Because, like, imagine if you're in the middle of one, right? And then you just say, Sonar, I choose you! And then he pops out, turns around, and says, where are the Twinks? Okay, I'm done. I'm skipping to the conclusion.
What happened?
Yep, that's the video. So, in essence, I really love Dispatch, and if they don't come out with a Season 2, then I'll be looking like Phenomenon on top of Flambe's car. And I think a lot of other people share the same opinion as me, so I just wanted to talk about my hopes for it. And if you want to comment your thoughts and criticisms down below about Dispatch 2, then please go ahead. Liking and subscribing would help a lot, and if you just like the video, then like the video. And yeah, that's about all from me. Have a great day.